I wanted to say I really appreciate the Stacy mentioning communication, and like lots of times we don't communicate what we want or what we're looking for from a mate. And what Monique mentioned, we don't even think about what we're able to contribute. And one of the things that Monique mentioned was being able to do all those things to keep a house clean. I, I hit pause, so I don't mention any names. Um, I was with a young lady, and my grandmother asked her, "Who runs the house?" And she said, "My mother does." And my grandmother said, "Well, Kurt wasn't raised that way. You're going to have a hard time if that's the way you want to do it." And so I eventually left, and Grandma saw that coming. She said that woman had a little too much religion and not enough Jesus. And then I look back at it. I was doing the cleaning. I cooked better than her. I cleaned better than her. I didn't want to touch my laundry. And like when I got to that point, it made me sit back and think, why are we in this together? And then we had a conversation because I had put on pause my education to make sure things were taken care of. And then when I was supposed to go back after the partner had finished, and I couldn't wait that long. I had to go. And in hindsight, when I talked to people who were involved in a relationship, they said that the stress that they were in and the duress they caused them, that I realized that it was the best thing for me to do. But we need to realize that we have to bring the best person to the relationship. So whether you go to Brazil, America, Dominican, if you don't know what you're bringing and what you're contributing to the game, you might as well keep your behind on the bench. And vice versa. With the women explaining what they want in a man and what they need a man to bring, they didn't. I mean, you didn't hear anything about companionship. Asking how my day was when I get in. Communication. It was all lost. So I just found it refreshing that Stacy had an example of a man see to watch. So when she went into the world, she knew what she wanted, and Monique had the. And I hate to say the domestic side, but we all need the domestic side. And my mama, when she raised me, she said, "Look, I'm not going to have you going out there relying on a woman to do everything for you." So I mean, I pressed my own shirts and pants. I mean, me and Brother Side, we went to the same high school together. We was known for the press leads. And you was called a sucker when you had to get them stitched in. The slacks for me, of course. That. Brother, you got a mantra. Each one teaches him. Well, that's what we're missing. We're not being taught. I mean, how can we expect to know how to do certain things? How can we expect to be domesticated? And men as well, because my mom was the same way. No one should rely on any other gender, but when you bring both of these things to the table, everyone should be able to do everything. But our home, we talk about education. Our home education is jacked up. That's where we're not learning from. And it seems to me, from what I see, a lot, I don't want to say a lot, there's a portion of the people who have no desire to improve. So when you get to be an adult, I mean, what are you? In essence, it's just like something. You're just really a grown woman, or a grown girl, because you haven't been taught these things. You haven't been taught, excuse me, how to cook, how to clean, how to be encouraging to your mates, how to support your mate, how to keep peace in the household, how that when you're in a relationship, it's not all about you. These are things that we're lacking, We're not being taught these things. So in essence, I mean, it's understandable why we are the way we are, why our relationships are the way they are, and why allegedly say 70 or more than 70% of single black parent households are being controlled by women, being run by women. That in itself, and I don't really think people grasp how detrimental it is to our culture. And why how come we think that we're progressed, but we have not progressed? Look at that. They say allegedly 70 to 75 and maybe higher than that of black families are being run by single black women. I mean, we have to get in the process of trying to focus on teaching young girls, young boys, unfortunately, older men and older women, that this is, we have to get back to focusing on relationships. You touched on it. You have to have spirituality first. Spirituality controls your mentality. That's what I believe. That's one thing. But it's just you got to want to improve. You got to want to be better. And if I've talked about this before, so I'll reiterate. We have to get back into people. We're way too much into things. We're way too much into phones. We're way too much into TV. We're way too much into partying and so forth and so on. And not even looking at ourselves and saying, well, I want to have a better relationship. Well, why? I think it's troubling that there's a portion of men who are going outside. When you have so many beautiful, educated, successful black women here. The women are here. We don't have to go search for them. You know what I mean? But I think that some men have gotten discouraged by the fact that, as you talked about, my mom cooked for me, cleaned for me. When I come home, I'm tripping over toys. You can't cook, So it's like, not that I require you to do that, but it would be nice to come, you know what I mean? So you tend to, as you say, look for something easy. I'd rather spend $500-600 and go down here. When, as I say, the women are right here. But as I say, it's just the fact that we got to get back into teaching. We got to get back and prioritizing and say, well, hold on a second. There's an issue going on here because these things are happening day in and day out. They've been happening for years, and we just kind of like skew over it like it's no big deal. Women say, I can't find a good man. Men say, I can't find a good woman. Well, why is that? What are you as an individual doing about that? And I think we've got to a portion you're talking about where money, at least in the United States, has become superior to anything in our relationship. Where males and females say, well, as long as I'm making money, that's all that matters. Well, that's the most important thing. Well, obviously it's not, because we're not having marriages, we're not having good relationships, so maybe we should try something else. And I don't know, it's just, I just get discouraged. Because I see what we used to be. I see what we can be. I see where we could be going, and it's like I see too much apathy in our ethnicity where we're just okay. Because we see a couple of ball players, or we see a couple of businessmen or businesswomen who have been successful financially, and we say, oh, we've made it. No, we've not made it. We're at the lowest point that we've ever been in society. Every other ethnicity knows about this. And for us, it's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. We got Barack Obama. We got ball players. We got business people, so forth and so on. Yeah, we also got almost 80% of our children being raised by single black parents in single households. So you tell me who's progressing and who's regressing. Yeah. And I was trying to, it just pisses me off. I was trying not to say that when I really was. It makes me angry. It makes me tearful a little bit because I just think it's sad. I think it's sad that we don't have relations. I think it's sad that we don't walk down the street holding hands anymore. I think it's sad that we got young men and young women out here crying for attention, and they're just doing things just to get attention. And when they see somebody with a dad, and you can see on their face how just discouraged they are because they wish they had one. They wish they had, someone in their life. They wish their mom would pay more attention instead of going out to the club. It's just, I don't know. It's just sad. It's just sad. But as you say, this is the venue that prayerfully we can put it out there. Maybe it'll improve at least one person. It will. Definitely. Sister Stace.
Being that my household is run by a black female, it is tough. I think about all the, my son is 16. He's getting ready to embark on college in 2 years, and hopefully leave my household. Hopefully. Now, of course, it financially makes more sense for me to go to school closer. I'm not trying to keep people out. However, hopefully he'll get to go away and really get to experience what that is about. I think about, the fact that, no, he has not witnessed, growing up in a household where there was a successful relationship transpiring. But I make sure to communicate with him. We have conversations all the time about the type of female that, he should be looking for, what he wants, why he wants those things, why those things are important to him, because he has to have a matter of conviction when he's narrowing his playing field by those standards. It can't just be you want that because it sounds good or whatever. Like, don't tell me you want somebody who cooks and you fine with eating out all day. Because if she's in the kitchen trying to play, Chef Boyardee making concoctions and you just like, I'm going to get a burger. You know what I mean? That's not going to work. So really having, those conversations in terms of what it is you're looking for, why you're looking for, because you have to be able to explain it to somebody else. And I think that that's the part that's not happening. We don't, like, even when we break up with somebody, like, things like two people get together, it no longer works for either one of you. That's fine. But what usually ends up happening, people ghosting, they just disappear. You know what I mean? The conversation, oh, it's just me, and making up some story because they don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, when if it was, you sat down with that person and said, listen, this is the kind of person that I want in a relationship, to be in a relationship with long term, because this is what I'm bringing to the table, and I feel like this is where we're falling short, right? Then enough people say it to that person, that brings enlightenment to that one person. But if you just disappear, that person has now the ability just to walk around and say, that was you, that wasn't me. There was something wrong with you. I don't have to look at me and figure out what I did or didn't do that caused this relationship to break down. And that's where the problem lies in. It's the same thing I joke with my boys and my girls, when they come in with their relationship problems and, Miss Stacey, he's moved on to the next girl and da-da-da-da-da. And I was just like, okay, well, what was it that was keeping y'all together? We were laying in bed together, and I was like, and you was faking him out. You had him thinking the stuff was good. He didn't know what he was doing. He probably hit the wrong spot a couple times, and you were like, oh, yes, and got this boy walking around here. I said, I blame you. And I said, I'm going to blame you. Let me tell you why I'm going to blame you. Because you have this young boy walking around here thinking that he's like king of, vagina land, and now he goes on to the next girl, and he does the exact same thing he did to you when that didn't work for you. But you didn't have enough self-esteem, you didn't have enough self-worth, that even though you opened your legs for him to demand what you needed from him in order for it to be pleasurable for the two of you. Now he's going to walk around and he's going to pump from girl to girl, because that's what he's doing. He's pumping from girl to girl, and they're going to be part of the problem too. It's not just you. There's going to be them too that's contributing to the problem. And he walks around here thinking this is the illusion of who I am, when you had an opportunity to say this is what I needed and you didn't do it. And I say the same thing to the boys. Like, again, you don't know what you're doing. Having sex with a girl is great. It's a rite of passage, whatever. Everybody's got to do it. However, making love to a female is completely different. And when you get to know that, you get to know the kind of man you want to be. Because in becoming a man, making love to a woman, you take into consideration all the things that you say you want from that other person. Right? You want someone who's supportive. You want someone who's going to listen. Right? If I tell you I need you to the left, right? If you care enough about me, if you respect me enough, you want to make it enjoyable for me, because that's going to make it enjoyable for you, you're going to move to the left. It's not going to be military. It's not going to be me trying to control things. I don't mean. A conversation going to a whole nother level, yes, right? Okay. Yes. So in that, bring it back. Okay. You know what I mean? But in that, it's still again, that it boils down to the conversation. I make sure my son knows how to wash clothes, he knows how to cook, he knows how to clean, because the mentality is very much the same. You may not, and there may be a delay between that woman you're looking for and you leaving your mama's household. You need to take care of yourself. Same thing with my daughter. She knows how to hammer a nail, like she knows how to clean some chicken and put groceries away. You know what I mean? So in that, you know what I mean, I make sure they're both well-rounded, because they got to be everything that they're looking for that other person to be.
I love that hammer and the nail.
Yeah,
Exactly, because it's not too early for our children to know how to take care of themselves.
Absolutely.
And how to be prosperous adults, how to be self-sufficient adults. In spite of the hair and the makeup, I went out and bought myself I was longing for a power drill. I wanted a power drill so bad, and I didn't want one in no pink case either. I went to Home Depot, and my husband just watched me. He watched me move that furniture. He watched me put up the wallpaper and match those seams. And then he said, called up all his friends. Hey, look what he did. So our children, it's okay if our girls know how to hammer a nail and our boys know how to cook and sew It doesn't make you soft, and it doesn't make her hard. It makes you a well-rounded human being, and that's what we need to offer each other, so that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we don't have another generation of folk that feel like they need to leave the country, or need to leave the race,
Or leave the gender.
or leave the gender.
Yeah, I was getting ready to touch
You know.
on that as well.
But if that's where you find love, I'm all about finding love where you find love.
I know that.
If she can't use my phone, I've had that conversation with my son too. It's all right. You won't love. Look, I'd rather you be with a white Christian than a black people. Okay, I'm all right with that. Now there's going to be some other things that come along with that. Okay, there's going to be some, you're signing up for some other issues.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Some other conversations for another episode.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Very true.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, but now's the time. It's never too early to start talking to them about bringing something to the table and what you're contributing. And I asked my son a couple weeks ago, do you think you want to do that? He said, you want to do that? I do it. And didn't want to have children. I didn't do it. You don't want to have big numbers. No, Mama, I ain't. You're not working on any, no. I'm like, okay, good. Just to keep the lines of communication, I want to know that you can tell me anything. I don't know if I'm prepared to hear it all,
You won't be.
but I want to but I want to keep you talking.
Absolutely.
If you don't feel like you want to talk to me, talk to your dad. Talk to Mr. Something. Talk to another adult, because we have to keep that talking. Because when you're not talking, you know, that's a problem. That's a problem. I was telling inside yesterday that 3 parents told me about their children, young teens that have tried to commit suicide. That's another issue that's happening. That was not a part of our race a few decades ago. That wasn't something that happened in our community. But now, it's something. Our children are facing pressures and things that are different from the ones that we face. There are things that they're exposed to. There are things that are looking them in the face that weren't looking at us in the face. There are lots of things that they know that we didn't know. My daughter, who is 11 years old, went on a camping trip with the class of 11 years old, 6th grade. She's like, yeah, Mom, and so-and-so was by. 3 girls were, I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? By the way, what does by mean? So she's like, Mom, you don't know what that means? I was like, I was like, to know, you know what that means. What exactly does that mean? So then she just said something about somebody being attacked. I said, what does that word mean? I don't know what that word means. Mom, you don't know what that word means. I need to know if you know what that word means. And then I need you to use it. I need you to call it by the more appropriate word. Okay? And then I need you, let's talk about that. Did any of those young ladies approach you while you were there? I mean, okay.
Gotta talk about
We got open showers.
Yeah, how did you find
How
out?
did you find out?
Right.
Yeah, because I need to know.
And that is going to be another topic too. Because now we've been ready to have the transgender bathrooms.
That's right.
So,
And
co-ed bathrooms. But we're not going to get on topic.
Right,
We
right.
continue
Now,
it then, you know what I mean?
yeah. So all of these things are things that our teenagers and our younger children are being exposed to, which is not too early because then we have adults. All of these are building blocks and the foundations that our adults are taking with us, are experiencing. And this is what, while we're feeling that our men are feeling unsupported, that they're not being supported, and that our ladies are feeling that this one's not measuring up, this one's not. But I just felt for me that it was important to be the right one, not to look for the right one. Be the right one. Be somebody's right. Be the right one for yourself. Be the right one for somebody else. Just work on you. Work on you. Make sure you know how to cook for something.
I had that conversation with them.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really going to all boil down to the lack of communication. We always talk about that in our previous episodes, right? We'll talk about it now too. The disconnect is so strong as all of you mentioned in that clip, the sisters were talking about one thing, I was talking about another thing. So that is a telltale, period, right? Once again, and after this, we're going to go to the next topic. I'm disheartened as well. We spoke about it earlier. To me, it's so disgusting right now because at one time, black people, our family structure was strong. And we're talking about the end point would be early 80s, right before that crack banged. Okay? Everything was pretty much in place. We even had Black Power movements. So the communities were intact. You know what I mean? Black family was universal. You feel me? So we plummeted at an alarming rate to the point where now there's no communication in the house. Now, as you said, the children with suicide rate, you know, and that comes from the lack of communication from parent to child for the most part. The child has to be comfortable, which when we had a segment about the definition of love, right? And a part of that, I believe, a part of love is the comfortability. You have to have that comfort. If you ain't got that, I don't see how you can say, you know, sincerely, I love you. If you're not comfortable with that person, forget about it. So the kids have to have that. The parents have to have that back and forth, right? Back to the broad thing. Like I said, you know, and we not bashing sisters. We love sisters. We with sisters. This is what we doing it for. So please don't get it mixed up and confused. I want to speak truth. I talked to a sister yesterday about the same situation. And she said, and this sister's on point too, and she says, I don't like the fact that brothers are putting sisters down. And she was speaking about the Brazil situation, right? And I said, putting down how? You know what I'm saying? And she says, because you got to go elsewhere. I said, wait a minute, though. Think about it. It ain't about nobody putting nobody down. It's about getting what you want, happiness, right? If they're not happy with the sisters that they dealt with here, maybe you got to do that. I'm not condoning it, but hey, to each his and her own, if that's what you choose to do. And if you get your happiness there, who can counteract that? I'm sorry, right? I don't know. It's crazy to me that that we don't have this understanding between the both genders. We have to get back to that. We have to get understanding. You know, it's about understanding, communication, and things of that like. Now, we're gonna go to the Black Reality TV.